Question number 42 of the IT Passport exam from PhilNITS. In this question, we are being asked, which of the following is an appropriate example of ransomware? Let's highlight the keyword ransomware. This question isn't really supposed to be difficult, but we'll need to, of course, read each of the choices and choose among them the best answer. Okay, so letter A, it's saying something about a software program that encrypts the file in a computer, makes them unusable, demands money in exchange for the key to decrypt the encrypted files. So this sounds like a ransom, and I think this is the correct answer. But we'll still have to read all the remaining choices just to make sure that the best answer is really letter A. So for letter B, it's saying it's a software program that records keyboard input illegally. This one, I think, is called keylogger, used to illegally get user inputs, like people typing in their passwords, typing in web pages. The keylogger would take note of those and then send them on an external site where the person who manages the site could get the logged keys from computer that's been infected by the keylogger. I think also that actually things like the keylogger can also be used to do things like, for example, to test certain web pages. So they're not all supposed to be misused, except that there are people who misuse technology in such a way that the software tool appears to be intentionally created to illegally do things. But there are cases when software tools have been created to make things much faster for the developer, like testing web pages. If you input this one several times, would the web page still process that many requests? Like, I remember when I was working at an IT company, and we needed to know if the servers could handle the amount of users accessing the system, creating whatever account. And because of that, we needed to know if the specifications of the machines that will be handling the service would be sufficient, and also if we have the server in another country and the users are somewhere else, will they be able to access the website if there are a bunch of them, like thousands, 10,000s of users? And would there be noticeable lags also? And I think here at the clinic, we do know that there are cases when the system does slow down, especially when you've got thousands of patient records. And so we got to figure out how to make things much faster. Like, for example, increasing the cache memory so that web pages that have been accessed by a client computer, certain parts there, like the images and things like those, would be already available much faster because they're in cache memory. So that makes things a lot faster for um, certain computers and certain web services. Okay, so in the end, letter B, key logging is not ransomware, so we put an X mark here. Letter C is saying that it's a software program that makes it difficult to find by altering the system log. So it looks like it's hiding itself, and maybe it's a combination of functions within a software program, where this is one of the functions, and another one is maybe letter D, because letter D is saying that it's spreading itself via the networks, and so it's spreading itself, and it's difficult to find that type of combination. I think maybe possible, but I'm thinking that if it's spreading itself, it's most likely it's difficult to delete, but not necessarily difficult to find. But the idea is that a software program can have several functions, like spreading itself and being difficult to delete. That's a combination. And the other one is letter C, where it's difficult to find, and the other function is it deletes other files. So that's also a combination. A lot of variations with software programs that cause system inefficiency. So we need to be able to detect them, and that's why there are companies that specialize in these things, so that if your computer has been infected, we know what is the name, what is the behavior of this malicious software program, and also how to solve it. So they have a database of those things. And again, some person also would want to know, there are people who would want to know why such things exist. It's because if we think about it, illegal software from sites that distribute software copies without you having to pay for the license fees, I think eventually um, there would be someone who would come up with a virus that would be included in any of those illegally downloadable files that makes your system really slow, inefficient, and that's why you need to buy a computer much faster. And in that way, I think the person who created the virus could make money, because if you look at it in a wider view, the more computers you buy, the more earnings the hardware manufacturers, and also of course the software that goes with the hardware, would make in terms of the money, right? And of course, because there are people who actually, even though they have the money, would still opt for the pirated software, would opt for the cracked version. I think it's a way to let them understand that, while business, one of the goals of business is to reduce expenses, of course, you gotta think about the bigger picture too, and the long-term view also, of people working and creating software, manufacturing the computers. They gotta make money too, right? Okay, so letter C and letter D incorrect. And in the end, we got letter A as the correct answer. This one, I think I remember reading something about this from the Asahi Shimbun, there on asahi.com, digital version, where a hospital was having problems because of a ransomware. So some of the files um, that had the patient information in their charts couldn't be accessed unless they paid money. Okay, so if you're aware that such things exist, what can you do? In our case, we do use multiple combinations of operating systems, not only Windows, we also have Linux and such things, so that a ransomware that could attack Windows would need to be able to attack the other operating systems. But first, it needs to know which computer is it in. If it's in a Linux machine, would it know how to function? If it's in a Windows machine, would it know that it's in a Windows machine? It's in a Windows machine, and can it execute? So just creating this either or just increasing the variation of operating systems in your system helps secure the network from any attacks that target only one type of system. And usually, if the person can create um, multiple ways to attack a system, I mean, it can recognize if it's Windows or Linux and attack um, um, without really worrying too much about those combinations. Then I think the person who created it can work in a company and earn much more, right? Than causing problems for people, because um, the one of the difference is Windows, maybe for example, would use a file system that that would be um, using a backslash or a forward slash, and a Linux machine would use the alternative to that. So just finding out which is it backslash or forward slash creates this additional workload for the guy who's creating the ransomware or whatever software it is. And if you have got time to do those, I think you could earn much more. At least that's the idea. That you can earn more in a legitimate company if you got the know-how of multiple operating systems instead of causing problems to people and creating system inefficiency. Okay, so next, is there anything else that we can add here? Let's look at my notes. Okay, so again, software encrypts files in computer unusable, demands money, receive the key, and therefore the correct answer is letter A.